This is Causes and Solutions to Teenage Pregnancy. Bearing a child is one of the many special moments that women can have in their lifespan. In quotation, the average age for a woman to have a child is 28, in quotations, Netherlands. By that age, it is expected that the female has experienced her young desires and fantasies, is established or has started in their career, and is ready to settle and have children. Before deciding to have a child, many things must be established so that it would not be a difficult process in time. A fully matured body and money are the two most important things that need to be secured. During the teenage years, none of the things that are needed to properly care for a baby have been achieved. Yet, in some cases, this does not stop young teenage girls from becoming pregnant and having families at an extremely young age. In the year 2017, in quotation, a total of 194,377 babies were born to women around the age of 15 and 19 years old. In parentheses, teenage pregnancy. When looking at the rates, scholars must also evaluate the causes and reasons why some girls are bearing children at an early age. Three major causes of teenage pregnancies are the lack of parental supervision, lack of positive parent-child communication, and finally, the lack of knowledge of consent of the consequences of early age and unprotected sexual activity. If the rates for teenage pregnancies decrease, then school dropout rates may decrease. Family relationships may become less strained, reducing domestic violence and the runaway crisis. And finally, the health of the youth may also increase from a reduction of STDs and other issues associated with sexual activity. Teenagers participate in a lot of activities, some good and some bad. The bad activities that are not supported by parents may cause teens to lie about their whereabouts and what they will or plan to be doing. This behavior, being sneaky with the activities and whereabouts, may become one of the causes of teenage pregnancy. When teens lie about what they're doing, they develop a false sense of feeling that they are grown or an adult. As youth grow older, they believe they can make major decisions like participating in sex, having a job, and where to attend college. Even though the older teen gets older does not mean that they can make huge decisions like having a child. Thus, when it comes to children participating in activities, the parents should supervise their child in their activities. Supervision means that the parent knows where the child is always, and if there is a responsible adult supervising the child. Supervising the child all the time may cause the teen to become enraged, angry, and start believing the parent is being too nosy or in one's business. But the teen must realize that it is only of love that parents do these things. With more parents increasing supervision, the overall rate of teenage pregnancies would decrease just by this factor alone. Moreover, other common teen crises would also decrease due to the increased supervision coming from parents, such as crime rates and dropout rates as well. In school, sexual education is typically taught in middle school. When people learn sexual education, they learn how the body performs, what each part does, and most of all, how to reproduce. The problem, however, is teaching children at a young age about sex. There's nothing wrong with teaching young children about sex, but it would be better off if, along with teaching sex, that they would teach the appropriate age to be having sex. With just teaching the acts of sex and not the concept or consequences behind it, children believe that it is something that can be done at any age. The most effective age to begin teaching sexual education classes would be in 8th grade and 9th grade. This would be effective because this is around the average age for children to be sexually active. With teaching the classes at this age, it gives students a better understanding of the causes of having sex at a young age. Along with teaching the classes at this age, the curriculum should also be expanded and not just discussing what sex is and the act of it, but explaining the possible problems that come along with having sex early, like STDs and early pregnancies. When further elaborating on the act of sex and the consequences behind it, early pregnancies would lower, which can reduce the high school dropout rate in STDs. The last major cause of teenage pregnancy is the lack of positive parent to child communication. In any relationship, communication is key and the foundation to everything. A relationship between a parent and child is extremely important in the further development of the child. When the relationship between the child and parent is strained, that can cause the child to distance oneself and not speak to the parent. With the child not communicating with the parent, it can cause the child to also act negatively as rebellion. When the child begins to rebel, that could cause the child to do things that one is not supposed to do. Yet, with better communication between the parent and child, the child would grow with better communication skills. Parents can communicate better with their child by letting the child express their feelings about topics and not cutting them off in the middle of their statements, using, in quotation, I statements to communicate, and use encouraging statements when speaking with the child. This can enable the child to feel more comfortable talking to the parent about anything, including when it concerns to being sexually active, which can greatly reduce teenage pregnancy. Additionally, those skills can be transferred into other areas of that child's life, which can aid the child in reducing verbal and physical altercations or enable the child to become gainfully employed. In conclusion, the rates of teenage pregnancies are lower than they have been in the most recent years. Trend. In quotation, trends. With the rates constantly fluctuating, it is very important to keep them at lower numbers. The United States wants to succeed in everything, but the country cannot succeed if most of the young women are having children at a young age. When looking at the rates, scholars must also evaluate the causes and reasons why some girls are bearing children at an early age. 3 major causes of teenage pregnancies are the lack of parental supervision, lack of positive parent-to-child communication, and finally, the lack of knowledge of consequences of early and or unprotected sexual activity. If the rates for teenage pregnancies decrease, then school dropout rates may also decrease. Family relationships may become less strained, and possibly reducing domestic violence and the runaway crisis. And finally, the health of the youth may increase from a reduction of STDs and other issues associated with sexual activity.